Okay, there we are. Okie doke.
Okay, so to recap, I did make you guys a lot of copies, so I'll just kind of go through it with you. We met last week on student dress. I linked in here for you, but I also printed it for you. We had that parent that gave feedback, and so I printed her feedback for you. Michelle, you actually asked for the student dress policy, the old one, so I made a copy of that for you. It's also linked in here for you.
Okay.
I did print this because Rosanna and I were talking about, you guys had your meeting about possibly getting more parent input, so I just thought if we don't get it to it today, then great, but just we have a printed version and we can maybe start playing around with whatever if we want this to be part of the registration packet in the fall.
Okay.
Can
I bring, just because I keep forgetting, registration link on the website, I think is what it is, somewhere that talks about registration and everything they need to bring. Talks about required vaccinations with no mention that they're not required, and there's no link to an exemption form. Which that law, that statute
I thought we
changed.
fixed that.
Yeah, I was just on there last week. I happened to click it for something. I wasn't looking at that, but it.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
It's supposed to be that exact language we talked about. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have to provide, if we're providing, here's the schedule, we have to say, here's the form for exemption also.
Okay.
They have to be hand in hand.
Rebecca and I talked about part of our monthly meeting is that we will spend time, the two of us, just going through the website and making sure that everything is updated. And so instead of just hoping that somebody catches it, that we'll just make it part of our system.
Sure, okay, yep. And I know we just have so much to do anyways, there's a lot of changes, so I just.
But we want that to.
Yeah, and I, like I said, I don't remember where it was exactly.
Are you talking about the vaccination?
Yeah, it was in part of the enrollment. Hey, come enroll.
It's on the sidebar.
Oh, okay.
If you click on enrollment, it's on the sidebar.
Oh, okay.
And at towards the bottom it says fall 2022 immunization requirements by age and dosage of vaccines required. So I mean, I would interpret it that we're telling them, you know, if your kid's this age, this is the required vaccines, as if we're requiring them. And then when you scroll all the way down, there's nothing in there that talks about necessarily our policy on vaccinations, where the I'm not updating, go away, where the you know, that they're
so in our policy we actually have that language, and I feel like we linked in the form, so can we just literally pull it from the policy? Okay,
that would be the safest bet, because then the website's aligned with the policy and everything is as it should be.
Okay. And we might, so which one was it? Okay.
Right there.
I see there's that language. Can you scroll through there, Rosanna? Yeah, it seemed like I saw it somewhere else too. Maybe in an Edgy blog, or I don't know. Anyways, you guys will find it. But I keep forgetting to mention that. And if I find the exact spot, it might have been that. I'll try and remember to send the email.
Okay.
But anyways, I got us off track there.
No worries. So then I linked in the student dress for you, and then I made a copy of the student discipline, and then our next one on our list is the controlled substance, and then for the annual, the following one is their use of restraint. But then I also copied for you that trained school dog one, so if we want to get on that for Mr. Massey.
I appreciate that.
So,
can you pause the video for a second?
approval, we probably want to know later than our August one, because then registration will happen.
Yeah. One quick little thing that I've already noticed on here.
Okay.
We call it the budget committee, but then we say the monthly budget advisory committee, and then we call it the BAC. Can we pick one?
What number are you on?
Number 1.
Oh, okay. So I took this specifically off of something that Brian did. So
Okay.
I left it on there because I don't know what you guys are calling it. So I agree with you, it just needs to be one, but I don't know
Correct.
what you guys agreed upon.
Well, I don't know that we've agreed upon anything
Okay.
other than we just need these committees
Right.
or subcommittees. Like the curriculum committee, then we call it the curriculum review committee.
Right. I could
Long-range
just take
planning,
off where it
perfect.
says budget and just say budget, and then these are the, because like for curriculum, there kind of are a couple of different committees. So I could just say curriculum, and then here's the committee specific to those, but policy is just policy. That curriculum's the only one where there's, like, it would be 3 different committees. It's not always the same people, you know what I mean? Because we have the adoption committee plus the people that have reviewed the iReady stuff, but then we also have the people that do it monthly, and some of them are one and the same, some of them are different.
Okay, so yeah, you could do just budget, curriculum, and then if you're going to like, yeah, there's, okay, yeah. I could probably provide some input too,
No,
other than
for
chit-chatting about it.
I just, again, this was my first blush at that conversation, so that's why I've kept it on here. So I think it's a great idea that we do at that registration date. So if you want to kind of play around with it and we bring it back next week, because
Okay.
I don't think we've ever looked at any of the verbiage, and I just took what
was already circulating out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't
Perfect.
change any of the intents that people had said because, again, I don't know if we're doing these differently. So, yeah, we can play around with it.
Okay.
And then I don't know, my input is just, what is the expectation? If somebody wants to join or assist on these committees, what's the expectation? You know, like
Okay.
how much time is expected of them? I think that
And that's
is
why I
important.
put monthly for some of them. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay. But like the long range planning, I have no idea what the commitment would be, and I don't think we would know until you guys got into it, and then you decided that as a committee.
Well, see, and that's where I kind of was never clear, because we have a long-range planning, a long-range facility planning, which it's not just about facility. It needs to be a whole district
Which is why
approach.
I took that off.
Yeah.
But isn't the strategic planning in that long range planning, or is it separate? Like they've never done any of this since I've been here, so
right. And what I was told, because one of the things I got kind of run up the flagpole on was strategic plan. That you know, what was the district's strategic plan? And I'm like, well, we don't have one. Well, according to statute, we don't have a strategic plan anymore. We have the continuous improvement plan, which is the SIP plan.
Right.
So we probably shouldn't even put strategic plan on there, even though there was some literature that just came out from ISBA that talked about your SIP plan and your strategic plan. And I'm like, but that's not even in statute. So why are we just throwing all these words around if we have nothing to back them up? So that is something that we really should talk about, because I do think that there needs to be just more involvement.
I just remember when Dr. Reynolds was here, so that was when I first got hired.
Okay.
She was the superintendent, and then it was Brad, and then it was Becky. She brought, and on that strategic plan, there were 25 people. It was a list of all kinds of people, and part of that work, they called it the strategic plan, and they went through everything connected to the district, and it was these, they met all the time, but I don't remember that happening since her. It could have, and I just don't know about it, but it was a big production, I remember.
Right, and a strategic plan is something that is fashioned in the corporate world, which is, I don't know if that's why the legislature moved away from it to where it's now the continuous improvement plan, because the continuous improvement plan is, as it's been presented to us, has always been solely about academic. So I think we just need some potential clarification, because it's my understanding that the SIP plan shouldn't just be about academic. It should be about the whole health of the district.
And I don't know it well enough. Last year was the first time I was even a part of it, and I kind of just sat back and watched Chrissy and Lisa do it because
Okay.
I had never been a part of it. So like I put in the numbers for the data pieces, but
Right.
as far as I had never been a part of it. So I will ask that. But do you want me to just leave it on here until we get some more clarification?
Yeah, just leave it on there because the board should address it.
Because I think my concern would be this, and this is what I expressed to Lisa. How do you do, if you isolate it, then it feels very singular, and then it's not comprehensive, and then
Right.
you're making decisions over here that have an impact to here,
Right,
and
right.
so it kind of feels like this should all be melded together. Like, what is our overall goal in all of these facets, and how do they overlap?
Right.
And I think we'll be having that conversation.
You guys have one coming up next Monday, I think.
Yep,
Oh,
yep.
okay.
Not
The-
4th, but the 11th.
Yeah, the 11th,
Yeah.
yep, for the long range planning.
Oh, cool.
Yep, so
Cool.
I think we can have that conversation.
Yeah, that would be great.
And maybe, and here's the thing too, we can look and see, you know, the board can, you know, and see where policy is affecting these things also, cause I'm sure they're out there, right? Because there's policies that we haven't even gotten to when it comes
Right.
to financials and all those. We're
Right.
just trying to get through annual things right now. But it might be that these end up becoming, you know, more subcommittees
Right.
happen that roll up underneath this
Right.
long-range planning committee. But yeah, we'll get there. We'll-
Yeah, so if you want to start playing around with it, because I love the idea, and I told Rosanna, this was actually your idea, Ramona. I think somebody gave me credit for it, it was actually your idea. But us doing this during at registration, and it's just out, and then everybody literally collects a physical form and then
Yep.
turns it into the district office, and then we can start calling people and assigning, and I can keep a spreadsheet together
Yeah.
of who wants to do what.
Yeah.
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 And even if we had you know, somewhere, yeah, again, a lot of this is probably board conversation, but even continual sign up form on the website or something, because like we talked about, you know, when it comes to policies, you know, maybe somebody really has a passion for the financial pieces or for the curriculum piece or for the, you know, they don't want to go through all of them, right? So that we could have a running pool of those who do want to be involved in particular aspects. That would be
Well, and maybe on your page, I was just thinking it could be something, it's a running, that just says, if you'd like to participate in a committee, please contact, and then I can help navigate, like, and give more direction of, this doesn't have to be a big ordeal, you know, so. Cause sometimes that phone call is better than they'll be willing versus signing up.
Yeah.
Okay, are we recording yet?
Yeah, we've been.
yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, so remember, this is our student dress policy. Michelle, this was the old one that I
Okay.
found, the 2007 one. And then this was our parent feedback.
Yeah, did you
In the
notice that
short
the
little-
only thing that's not in here is the bullet items?
Yep, so. Yeah, pretty much everything else is. Yeah, in an effort to get more specific to help.
Okay, there's her.
And then, at some point, the accommodation language was added in.
Oh, I think we added that
The last time.
the last time.
Yeah.
Cause that was new that came out.
Mm-hmm. And I also, in our green sheet, linked in all of these for you, so you have them digitally as well.
Do you guys know about the webinar they just did at ISBA? I got hung up at the couple of doctors' doctor's appointments that day. Do you know if they left that record? Is it going to be like a recording we can go back and watch?
They recorded it. I don't know when it's going to be posted, but they did record it.
Okay.
And Rosanna, you were on, right?
I was on it, and Ramona, I did ask because they brought up something regarding that legal training from that group hall or something.
Okay.
And you had asked me, well, I reached out to that company and they're like, no, there's no materials. So anyway, so something came up and I did ask and they're like, yeah, well, if you didn't attend it, we don't have any. Yeah, you're SOL basically.
Okay.
Taking down that cardboard.
I have my meeting minutes available also if you guys want to read them on the last week's meeting that we had for the policy committee with the principals and parents, their feedback.
Oh, okay.
So if you guys want to see that, I can throw it up there.
Yeah, I did. I was very grateful that they all showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that takes time out of whatever they're trying to wrap up for the end of the year and whatever they had going on, but I very much appreciated that. And I did appreciate all the feedback, and I have been going over it in my brain, specifically the comments regarding just being respectful and hearing what I'll say were cross-generational comments regarding that, and I thought, well, I do think we have an obligation, whether societal or other, to expect respect from everybody around us, even if they are things that maybe are a little uncomfortable, maybe sometimes we don't quite agree with, or what have you. I do think that we as humans and members of certain society, maybe sometimes we're too worried about making sure our perspective is enforced instead of,
We're pleasing everyone.
Right, yeah.
Michelle had one parent that was on board for
Yeah.
Uniforms!
Yep.
I'm so
Well,
excited.
Yeah.
just one.
Well, and the thing.
What is all it takes?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I don't even know that you necessarily had to call them a uniform, but it would be a dress code, right? It'd be like, okay, well, here's what it looks like when you get dressed to come to school.
I didn't
I want
either.
somebody to answer. I wanted to say, what is that?
That's
I
why I
had
looked
to
at
look
somebody.
it up afterwards.
Well,
Right.
I don't carry the bralette.
A bralette.
That's why I said,
I don't know
I
what
looked at
that
somebody
was.
and I was like, I don't know what that is, I have boys.
Yeah. It's like, I didn't know what that was either, like a sports bra?
I know.
Or, I mean, like, what is that?
Is it something I should be wearing?
Yeah.
That was my first thought, like.
No visible waist trainers.
Not always up on the latest fashion, so I'm like, ooh. Okay, that's fine.
Where? Oh, it's Untitled. Nope. Oh, this one. Okay. So I went through these comments, and basically it's what's already there,
Right,
Mhm.
just,
Condensed
Yeah.
language.
But what I would like to do is I would like to see where we're at. Is everyone okay if I make a copy of this? Cause I wanna see where we're at with the layout and
Oh,
what
you
it
mean the-
looks like.
the policy that we're.
The
That
policy
would
that we're
actually go
currently
on the
working on.
district
Yeah,
website.
right,
Yeah.
right. So let's see if I go file and I make a copy.
What do we wanna, I actually think that this would be a good system because we struggle with knowing the length of it, and so if we do this on all of them, I know that that's not gonna be the draft that goes to the board, but what do we call that, draft?
Working.
Because then we can do it, or we could say,
It would be a working draft is what it would be, right? Are you talking about the one we're working on to get a draft to get to the board?
No, she's
No.
talking about taking out all the crossouts and
Yep.
and my thing is just remove the crossouts because that's actual language that's not going to be in there. We could call it
Clean
a
draft.
no.
No.
It's just a working
The,
copy, just call it a working copy.
Okay.
Because we can always take the working copy and go back to the actual thing and do a comparison and it'll show
so like when
us.
I make it, I put draft on there because
Right.
then it's showing all the mark
Everything.
throughs, and so
Right.
that's the one that goes in front of the board, so they
Mhm.
can see where we made changes, otherwise when we're a month out, we forget those specifics.
Yeah.
It's just too hard to remember everything, but this could be the, it could be the final working draft or something to distinguish that it's, or just a working.
Working policy. Yeah, I mean, it is something we're working on. I don't know, unless you guys have a better, that's usually how we define the document.
But I think it would be nice for us to see all of them, you know,
Yeah.
when it's finished, of, okay, are we pushing 2 pages, are we pushing a page in a line, and then we just need to take off a sentence or whatever, but it's hard to see what it looks like when we have, I mean, some of them are 4 pages long, and the reality is it's really only gonna be 1, but we have so many mark-throughs that, or strike-throughs.
Okay, so I titled it "Work in Progress" in brackets, no crossouts.
Love it.
So, and it's just so I made that copy and it's in there. Because then you can also see how it's actually flowing
Uh-huh.
and doesn't make sense.
From a system standpoint, what I would do is, after we do our first draft that you see, we send that out to parents.
Uh-huh.
Well, because that's the other piece, you really didn't need to do that, because what I send out to parents,
Mm-hmm.
I take out all the strike-throughs.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, because they don't get to see the working version. So the parent copy is the cleanest version.
Oh.
It
Okay.
just won't have, so it's the version without, like, it's not the most accurate one, because we look at it, I do a draft,
Mm-hmm.
you guys fix it, play with it, I take out all of those corrections, send parents a copy, then the following policy meeting, we go through all of the feedback and then we make changes again. So So it's only off of the first version, not the second one. So we definitely still need your version.
Okay.
That makes sense. That was convoluted, but I had to work through it in my head.
Not a problem. I appreciate that.
A few more sped teachers apply, so that's good news.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
yay.
Good, good, good. Oh, that's not where's the one I had. Where did I do with that? 3255. Okay, so it's in a sense 2 pages. Well, it says 3, but the language is actually on 2. Yeah. And then we can probably go back up. Did you, yeah, let's see, scroll down. Oh, there we go. So the part where we get to the violent, sexually explicit, so the recommendation was just that section.
No illegal or sexually explicit clothing and or accessories.
Mm-hmm.
However, we did also have comment from staff about, political,
Right.
LGBTQ.
the flags. And so,
We did talk about that. I reminded them later that we did talk about that in our first policy about the First Amendment stuff.
right.
So
I don't know,
I feel like when this first came up, our conversation, it was specific to flags, like as capes, and we just,
Right.
we talked about if they wear it as a t-shirt, they're allowed to do that. And remember, I even gave the rainbow example.
right.
But we said we wouldn't allow them to wear political things as accessories specific to like a cape or that kind of a thing.
Okay.
But that was the only scenario that we came up with, like, because they could wear earrings that were a flag or.
Well, the no illegal or sexually explicit clothing, I don't think is sufficient, because it doesn't address gangs or violence. Violence, I mean, violence isn't illegal. Gangs are not illegal, nor are they they're colors. They're communicating without using words, basically. So I struggle with, I get, we want to keep it simple, but how do you keep it simple? Because if you're so simple that it's Swiss cheese, there's no point in even putting it in there.
I agree with her in some of this, like just some of the language, it's clear because it's just,
Right.
but that one you may need to put more detail in, and maybe it's what we have.
Yeah, it very well could be. I also need to, oopsies. where are we standing? What are we wanting to bring to the board regarding head coverings? It did kind of seem that the consensus was, we don't care.
That they spent more time dealing with it than
not.
I felt like if they had a graduated scale of importance, that was not it.
Lipstick on a pig.
Right. However, I
will never
did
get over that. I thought it was hysterical.
I did very much appreciate the input of that we got in as far as, you know, from a respect perspective.
Right.
You know, like, I mean, is it really a lot to ask to remove your hat when you're in class? Is it really a lot to ask to remove your hat when we're saying the Pledge of Allegiance? Is
That's where that is one of my concerns is, I mean, are we teaching our children respect for the flag?
Yeah.
I mean, are they sitting in class leaving their ball cap on while we say the pledge? Because number one, they've never been taught any different, and they don't know unless you're taught.
Mm-hmm.
And so then is it a point of contention where I don't have to take my hat off?
Yeah.
Well, and,
You know.
if you go to a football game, you go to a ball game, I mean, what's being modeled is not necessarily
know.
what the respectful, so
No.
back to the morality conversation.
Right. Yeah, I cringe when I'm at sporting events and there are men or young children and they keep their ball caps on. It's like, what are you doing? I just, go to Arlington. It'll give you a new perspective. But yeah.
Well, and they do
So-
have the right to not participate, but they should leave if they don't want to participate. That's the other thing. You know, it's like we're not forcing you to participate, but here's the expectation. I mean, I guess the other part is, what is the difference of expecting that versus expecting that you complete these homework assignments? I mean, you could still argue the point of whether they're necessary or not.
And kids do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, the head coverings, that's what I was gonna pull that up so I could go find that language. Why am I not showing anything?
Well, and that one principal talked about hoodies.
Right.
Mhm. Oh, there we go. Just take that one.
All right, so we've got the hoodie issue and we got the respect issue. Is that worth having something in this policy or not?
I think it's important that kids take their hats off during the national anthem, during the flag salute, I think it's important when we have Veterans Day programs that some of those tried and true traditions are modeled.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a thing that the board needs to talk about. I do think it's somewhere it needs to be addressed. I don't know that that's addressed in the dress code, but maybe in some other policy we have, I don't know.
Could it be in what is honored, specific to, are you talking about like the Veterans Day?
Yeah, or just, some other policy that we have as far as, conduct,
Yeah.
as a conduct expectation, whether that's I guess this is a discipline policy,
Yeah.
but,
It could be something that gets put in the student handbooks.
mhm.
What's wrong? Thank you. Okay, but what do we call, I mean, aside from just saying, when the Pledge of Allegiance, and saying head coverings, I mean,
Yeah, the head coverings, I think, was specifically, referred to actual religious head coverings. If I remember right from, that's why I was trying to pull up that other policy so I could go search for that language.
Could you say something like hats of any kind?
well, what it said in the old policy was head coverings are inappropriate in the school building during regular school hours
Mhm.
unless the principal or designee specifically makes an exception to the policy.
So
That's what it
would
said in
be-
the old policy.
Okay, so, is that here?
Yep, it is.
Um,
I'm wasting paper, I know that, but I think it's good to be able to see them all.
yeah.
Thank you.
This works for my brain.
It's not a waste, cause I do keep it.
Yeah. Oh, I see, okay, head coverings are inappropriate in the school building during regular unless the principal is. I think what we should define is the inappropriate time. So I think head coverings, are inappropriate during classroom, I don't know, comma, if that's really what we're trying to get to. So not that they're not inappropriate at school, but they're inappropriate while you're sitting in class, that they're inappropriate while there's,
During the pledge,
The
during the
pledge.
national anthem, or
Mhm,
during
mhm.
a Veterans Day
mhm.
assembly.
During the pledge, what was the
National anthem.
I put that in there. We don't typically do the national anthem during school day, but you do it at school events.
Mhm. Or to say the wearing of head coverings is inappropriate during.
Oh, I like that.
during the Pledge of Allegiance, national anthem. Okay, so by removing the in the school building during regular hours, we're basically just saying, take your hat off.
Yeah.
When this occurs.
So like at the high school level, I think they do during their Tiger TV time or during their Lakeland Hawk, like it starts with that, and so then they do it all at the same time.
Right. I mean, it's a it's a morning moment. It's not, I mean, like all day long they're going to be pledging allegiance
Right,
to the
it's
flag.
it's a one and done.
It is, and it would be nice to show that, you know, when you're at sporting events and the national anthem is sang, or, you know, whatever, that you show respect
Yeah,
to
we're
your country.
requiring students to stand. I mean, we all stand.
Right,
They always announce that, please stand for the pledge, or
Right.
please stand for the national anthem.
right.
Yeah.
Emily Post adds an additional one, when the flag of the United States passes by as in a parade.
That's true.
Okay.
You're supposed to remove your hat or place your hand over your heart, and those in the military salute. Same thing when the flag's being raised or lowered, but we're so far from all that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. It's,
I mean,
it's
this
tragic.
is gonna be, you know, yeah, basically any time that there is, any, display of national, pride or, representative emblems, I wanna say, I don't know. And there again, we can always have the board give us more input or change the wording, or, I mean, it's been such a struggle, so,
But we definitely want to get a final policy out
Yes.
by this July, because people
Yeah.
will start,
right,
otherwise we're gonna have to have a special meeting because people will wanna go back
Yeah.
to school shopping.
Well, I have a question though. What we do state shirts, tops, or any other types of clothing designed to act as a shirt or top must fall at least to the waistline and be free of folds, rips, and tears. What she's asking for is no midriffs visually showing. Okay, what I didn't understand is why, if a student was leaning over and their back became exposed because their sweatshirt rose, I mean, why would anyone think that that's a reportable offense?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, and
I
I think,
didn't get that. I got the leaning forward for this part.
no, it was
But
the
that's not
back.
midriffs either.
And then, well, and that's, I think, Mrs. Sumas was sitting over there, and she said, and when that came to me, I just sent them right back, because it was, and so that's where the inconsistency is I don't like seeing somebody's back, but you were like, it's not a midriff. And again,
Correct.
you know, depending on,
And the midriff part also came up with the going up like this, raising the arms when they wear a shirt that's a crop top that
Well,
goes up a little higher.
but if we say, you know, no midriffs showing, we don't eliminate it with the hand raising.
well, we can
We're
add
s-
that.
We are trying to cut the language down.
Oh, I know, well, this would make it pretty, I mean, if we took out a lot of that blah, 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 and we just started with the bullets and made them,
Okay.
a little bit more cohesive or understandable, or, I mean, I think a lot of them are right there, but I think if we just start with what they were asking.
I guess my question is if I lean over, so like I'm 5'10" and I have a long torso, I lean over, I mean, I would never wear a shirt that just comes right at the pant level anyways, and so, but if I did, if I lean over for sure, but even if I raise my hand, like it's only gonna come up this much, so in my mind, no midriff means I'm not wearing a shirt to here, but
Right.
if I have a shirt that comes to here when I'm walking or I'm whatever, when I raise my hand, it's not a big deal. Like in my mind, that wouldn't necessarily be a big deal. Are we saying that at no time if your hands are up, or you know?
Well, and see, that's what I don't know by the whole mention of no midriffs, because I don't want the same situation where a teacher states, well, you raised your hand, you can't raise your hand, and now we have a conflict in the classroom, which isn't appropriate. And then, but I'm still dumbfounded that a teacher would be like, oh, your back's showing because you're leaning on your desk. I mean, that's, doesn't make sense to me, but I wasn't there. I don't know what
Right.
happened. So we're gonna create that same situation with raising your hand, oh, your midriff showing now, you're violating, you need to go. That's why the thought of, you know, making the shirts down to the waistline, well, I guess that
It's still subjective depending on how tall you are.
nah, that's true, that's true.
So do you, yeah, I mean, which is why I think she just said no midriffs. Because a shirt that comes to here is not, and if I lift up shows a little bit, is not the same as a midriff shirt.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
they're starkly different. The midriff is like right here. So I don't know. I don't know how unless we make it similar to what we have and it's a paragraph or it's 2 sentences. I keep forgetting we're being recorded and I'm doing this.
Well, then they had brought that thing up about boys too, that boys' shirts are turning into those netting, crop top, whatever.
Yeah, but you go look at pennies for
kind of
sports
things.
teams. They're wholly, you know, if you're male, you can be naked underneath them. I mean, but you got a penny on and you're good to go. So, I don't know. I just, I hate micromanagement.
Dress code.
Uniform.
I knew you were gonna say
Just
that.
saying, solves every single problem. Oh.
I think shoes on and shoe must be worn are one and the same.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I get it. We state footwear should be worn at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And I know someone had made some comment, I think it was on the feedback, that, you know, well, there are times you have to take the shoes off, and it's like, it doesn't say shall.
To take a shower.
It's like, it says should be, you know, it's subjective, you know. I've got a boo-boo on my foot, and I'm not wearing a shoe on that foot. Well, okay, but they should be worn. So I just,
I tell my boys, you're wearing shoes in the shower. There's fungus.
yeah, fungus among us. Okay, so. Alright, let's do this.
The other thing is I don't know what you put for skirts where it says, are you gonna require that they wear biker shorts or those boyfriend pants underneath?
I don't think we can require that.
I know.
Because then it's a whole.
It's additional clothing that people have to purchase.
Mhm. Actually, I can just, because it's the same, which I can take it out.
Do girls wear skirts anymore? Is that a thing or
Mhm.
not?
Well, and now there's a lot of those that have biker shorts built into them. Like, they're even more different. I mean, they're still considered skirts, but it's not just a short, it's a biker short as well. But this is specific to just short skirts.
Mm-hmm.
I wish there was as many academic organizations as there are youth activist organizations.
Like the math bowl and the science bowl and.
Right, yeah, it's like we have all these organizations that bring all these lawsuits against school districts. You know, of course, they have to have, standing, so they get a student. And, it's like they spend a lot of time and money and these things.
Okay, I have to put that in there. Undergarments must be worn and shall not be visible.
Well, there were several staff members that commented on that.
One of the principals had said, to add verbiage, it's something like not all examples listed.
True.
Does it give me a, yeah. No, I want to see its citation. Okay. So we'll just say it was Richards versus Thurston. Is that the one I want?
There's other words, I can't think about them. We've been on this policy too long. Okay.
Does anybody remember Todd? He used to ride, I think about him so many times, he used to ride his bicycle up and down 95 and he had the little milk cart on the back of it.
Yes,
The little
with the flag.
With the flag,
Yeah.
yeah. I used to talk to him all the time, he used to tell me jokes.
This was a student,
No,
was
he
an
was
adult.
just, yeah, he was
Okay.
an adult. He actually had,
He was killed.
came from LA. Oh, he
Wasn't
was?
he?
I don't know
I thought he was
whatever
in a
happened
I
to
thought
him.
he was hit by a car.
Oh, I don't know. Well, that's how he came up. They came to be up here. So he was being retarded. But I often think about him, about how happy he was all the time, and how he always would tell me jokes when I saw him. And I'm just thinking about all this we have to be. He
he had a light about him.
yeah. He was never had anything didn't affect him.
He didn't get bogged
No.
down in the weeds of
Nope. He just
drama.
he just talked to people every day, and he threw a quarter down one time. I ran into him at Ziggy's and he threw a quarter on the ground and he did this. And he goes, "What's that?" I was like, "I have no idea. It's a quarter pounder." I was like, "Okay, thank you, Todd."
That's cute.
Don't you wish we all had that a little
Yeah.
bit of just that free spirit of,
Yes.
Yeah.
like, okay, yes, this is a speed bump,
Right.
but it we're still smiling, we're still kind, we're not getting bogged down in the yuck.
Yeah. He had gotten run over by a drunk driver when he was younger.
Oh.
And lived through it, and so that's why he was always just on his bicycle and talking to people and having a great day. But every time I see so much arguing and court cases and all that, it's like, people like that, they think they have it pretty easy sometimes. They have simple, we need to learn more. But yeah, I don't know whatever happened to Todd, but yeah, I used to really enjoy him a lot.
Michelle, you think he got hit again?
I thought he was hit and killed by a driver.
Yeah, I don't know. He was a great guy. He was always happy. Always, no matter what.
I love those kind of people.
Yeah. So do we want to, I know there was discussion about why we even had the language about the hair. Are we just going to take the hair thing out?
Is there a hair thing in here?
Yeah, I remember it was,
It was a comment.
yeah, and they questioned why we had to have that in there, and I said, well, it was put in there because there's actually a Supreme Court case about it.
Hair.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's the no student, it's under the accommodations. The no
Right.
student shall be required to modify their natural head or facial hair such as by shaving or straightening through the application of heat or chemicals. And several people didn't understand what it meant. It's the very last line.
Yeah, but that's reference to a statute, right? Or
There's
a
a
federal
lawsuit.
rule.
Yeah, a case law.
Okay.
So it was actually, I just had it, where'd it go, sorry. Richards versus Thurston. It was the First Circuit Court in 1970.
Do we know
There's another one after that, because this one was.
what site are you on? So I can.
Well, right now I'm on the National Youth Rights Association.
Yeah, I thought there was one recent, like a
There-
couple years ago.
There was, yeah, they don't have that listed here, and they have a portion dress codes in uniforms under students' rights, and they cited it there. But yeah, there is another one, and it was explicitly to do with straightening your hair or braids and.
I bet I could just do this right. Oh my heaven. Plaintiff, 17-year-old, by his next friend. His father has filed in the U.S. District Court against the principal of Marlboro High School, a comprehensive general high school, a complaint seeking restoration to his status as a member of the senior class there. He alleges that the defendant principal suspended him on the sole ground that he refused to have his hair, which he wears in a style reminiscent of the English singers called the Beatles, and in a tidy style that Albert Einstein, as scholar or master rarely displayed, cut to the extent approved by the principal.
Yeah.
It was a 1969 ruling.
Yeah, but
Oh my lord.
Yeah, there is one more recent.
There's a Michigan dad who sued after they cut his daughter's hair without permission.
Oh my goodness.
And then the ACLU sued Texas school for punishing boys with long hair, but not girls.
There was one specific to wrestling too. There was a kid that had to cut his hair because he couldn't wrestle.
That's not.
So yeah, there's a fine line between that because there also is another one. It says the court upheld the school's grooming regulations as a, quote, reasonable means of furthering the school board's undeniable interest in teaching hygiene, instilling discipline, asserting authority, and compelling uniformity. So there is a fine line. I think where it comes in is when it has something to do with, you know, like the other discriminatory things, you know, race, religion, sex, those types of things, you
Yeah.
know, if you're explicitly told, oh, well, you know, girls don't wear their hair like that, or
Right.
what have you, you know.
Or if a little boy wanted to wear his hair long.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, I can simply cite the case after. Sorry, what?
Oh, just some things that people come up with. So, school district won this case. Morse versus Frederick, 2007. During a school trip to watch the Olympic torch relay, a high school student displayed a banner saying, "Long hits for Jesus," and was subsequently punished. The court ruled against the student, stating that the speech on the banner was not political in nature and that its content could reasonably be viewed as promoting illegal drug use.
I don't understand people sometimes. Okay, so if we cite the case after, do you think that that would calm people down as to why we've put it in there?
Well, that was part of what they brought up,
Right.
you know, so yeah.
I just didn't understand the context of it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And there is more than just that one, it's just a matter of finding it, and it was more recent, but there again, that's the problem sometimes with taking ISBA stuff, is because, you know,
They throw stuff in there.
Right.
They don't support why it's
right,
there.
right.
So, I mean, but even still, if we go back to, I mean, you can find that court case.
Right.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
there
US Supreme
somewhere.
Court case.
Right.
And it gives some context as to why we're saying it,
Mhm.
so.
So does Idaho have?
Yeah. Okay. Getting back up here to the actual
Meat.
problems. Um, Well, the interesting thing is tank tops usually don't have spaghetti straps. Those are camisoles.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no point in putting that on there. The camisole, I mean, unless we're saying no camisoles. Which people could argue, is that or is that not an undergarment?
Right.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Because to me, they are undergarments, but
I wouldn't wear one by itself.
no, me
Depends on
neither.
whose Instagram page you're looking at.
True.
Yeah.
So that would take care of.
So then strike through that next bullet right there, yeah.
Because I'm trying to do it from like a, I guess inside out, up, down, I don't know. Trying to put some semblance to this.
So this next one is specific to midriffs.
Right. Okay. Skirts and dresses must be worn. Must be at a minimum of mid-thigh length. The reason I'm taking the shorts out is because I don't want it to be construed that we're only looking at girl shorts.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
to say this shortly. Cause here's my thing.
Oh, I like midriffs must not be exposed.
Oh, okay. Cause the consensus is jeans with holes above mid-thigh must be covered. Front the inside, no skin. Okay. I get what the concept is that if girls or boys wanna wear jeans with huge holes in them that show their legs or their skin or their whatever, they can wear leggings underneath to cover the holes, okay? But, cause I thought, well, we should just say, you know, no skin showing through the hole, okay? But the reality is, based on saying no skin showing, okay? So, if their underwear's showing, there's no skin showing. Even though we say no undergarments must be worn and shall not be visible, so you've got to go from one bullet point to the other bullet point. I mean, I really feel like it would be wonderful, and I'm doing all of it because I know, you know, well, I mean, if someone wears fishnet leggings, stockings to school, those are full of holes. But they were worn, and I know that, to school.
Is that a thing?
For some people, yeah. But that's okay. That's, I mean, and because the policy specifically said jeans, pants, or other types of leg coverings, when I'd like to just say leggings, but then you don't, you know, fishnet stockings are a thing, so.
I mean, I think you're saying it has to be covered.
Stop bugging your computer. Where's my mouse? There it is. See, and respecting this format, what it is it's saying, you know, gotta shorten it up. I get it, we gotta shorten it up. But the thing is when you shorten it up, you also leave room for everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to prevent that, which,
and remember, this is our work in progress, Jock, so you can take out all those strike-throughs so we can adjust the.
well, the strike-throughs on this I've left in because those are the strike-throughs that we just made.
Oh.
Yeah,
right.
it's
Yeah.
not, and, cause I wanted to
This is-
see.
We're
how-
no longer, this is also our working draft now. too.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
you're right.
So what if? Holes.
How about these jeans? These are trendy, brand new.
That is not cute.
Yeah. There's quite a few that look like that. I was trying to see, I thought they were Louis Vuittons. I just saw a pair of these jeans and I was like, why would you pay? They were Gucci, Louis Vuitton, somebody, but it's like, why would you even pay that amount of money for that? You know? There's something similar to this, but this is, yeah.
Because they're strategically placed.
Right.
I mean, you would end up on social media.
Yeah. I mean, and they come the same for, it doesn't matter the gender of the person. There's boys and girls that are just the same.
Leg coverings, jeans, pants with holes above mid-thigh must be covered. Must have leggings. Must be covered with leggings.
Must not show skin.
Then to Michelle's point, if they have underwear on, then,
Well, yeah,
but then we have a policy that says undergarments cannot be visible.
right.
I know. So leg coverings with holes above mid-thigh must have the holes covered.
Yeah, is there an
Well, they
extra?
just don't, they can't show skin, however they choose to do that. Because if you say leggings, then that's just the girls, right?
That's why it's leg coverings.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you say,
Oh,
Yeah.
putting something under the jeans or whatever, right? If you say, yeah, wherever my brain was going, it was tired. I'm just trying to figure out how we say, just don't show the skin.
Right.
Cause then I'll say, oh, well, if we have to put patches on them, then why, you know.
but my thought is, okay, so it doesn't show skin, but now you see either the boys' boxers or,
Right.
you know, the
But
girls.
then we say
Oh, you can't have your
undergarments
underwear
must be,
showing.
and shall
Right.
not be visible,
Yeah.
so it would be breaking that policy.
Okay, so leg coverings, jeans, pants, etc., with holes above mid-thigh must not show skin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which is basically what she wrote, jeans with holes above mid-thigh must be covered from the inside, no skin.
Right.
So, yep. This.
There it is.
Yep.
Couldn't figure out how I was supposed to say that. Now I did. I kept looking, I mean, my little brain is just
It's Friday.
full of fog.
No, gosh darn it. Sorry, I'm trying to reschedule some things here. Later, give me what did I do with that?
Okay. All right, so the only thing that isn't identified.
Is the illegal stuff,
Hmm?
the illegal and sexually explicit stuff.
Right, didn't modify that, but this comment that we put in there, skirts that are part of the district required uniform are not
Mhm.
subject to a length requirement. However, the skirt is only permissible to be worn at approved school functions, events, or activities. I still have no idea how any staff member could not interpret the intent of that, which is they're worn
Cheerleader.
during
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that
you know,
I
Spirit
agree.
Day, Fridays, whatever. I don't get it, but do we take that out and acknowledge that the school uniform is, I mean, that,
You could put in there Spirit Day, that's what it's called, it's a Spirit Day.
except Fridays before game, those are game days. When guys wear their jerseys, girls, I mean, I assume that still happens. That went on when I was in school.
They were called Spirit Days for me, that's why, it's one and the same, so whatever we wanna call it,
But I guess my point is do we have to put that in there?
I would say so apparently. I don't think we should have to, but
Well, and that's where because
you could put school functions, parentheses, game day, Spirit Day. You know what I mean?
But
And
do
just-
they wear those to go outside
They wear
of
them
the
all day.
district? No, I meant outside of the district to go to other functions.
Sometimes. But the example that the one parent brought up is that it was it was at school and the boys were wearing their jerseys and the girls couldn't wear their uniforms.
yeah, which does
Which
not
doesn't make
make
sense.
sense to me at all.
We were allowed to do that.
Oops.
I think you're almost better just putting cheerleaders are allowed to wear their uniforms on game days.
Yeah. Game days, pep rallies, I mean, do they do them outside?
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of school
Right, that's what I said, it's like
days or
Spirit
whatever.
Days, yeah.
That's not what I wanted. Where did I send that to? Sent that.
Or I mean, if I just state student dress does not apply to school uniforms, is that clear enough?
Student dress code.
I just think that, I don't necessarily think that they're gonna equate school uniforms to cheerleading uniforms.
Yeah, no, I think we needed to be
And that's why I said you
explicit.
probably just need to put in there, you know, cheerleading uniforms or sports uniforms, are allowed to be worn during pep rallies, spirit events, and game day or something.
Cheerleading, sport, and other school-directed uniforms are allowed to be worn at school for spirit days, pep rallies, approved school functions, events, and other district-sponsored activities.
Clear.
Okay. Just mind-blowing to me. Sorry, I just don't get it. Okay.
Ah, there it is, right there, okay. That's the same one I already sent it.
Do you feel like we need to do anything else? So now this draft will be the one that goes in front of the board.
Okay.
Right, cause it was from
We
all
can-
of our other
Yeah,
language and
we
then
can
now-
tell
yeah.
them that this is the modifications to the one that was previously brought
Right,
to
exactly.
them, which would, I think, definitely put us at 2 pages.
Yeah,
Well, and
Which-
that was just a request or suggestion, I mean, we
there's
could-
some of them it's not physically possible.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. The only other piece is, do you shorten the illegal, but I mean, I feel like you made that pretty, it's,
There.
Up here in the second paragraph, we say all students are required to adhere to the following minimum standards of dress.
Yeah,
Um,
so we're using the same language,
yep,
yeah.
to adhere to the minimum standards of dress when the student, okay, yeah. To wear or carry items of apparel. When we say carry items of apparel, what are we referencing? Backpacks and purses?
Students are not to wear or carry items of apparel which depict or allude to alcohol, tobacco controlled,
Mm-hmm.
like pot backpacks and hats with paraphernalia, insignia, or that kind of stuff. They can't wear, bandanas that are gang
Right.
affiliated, that kind of thing.
Do we want to identify in the minimum standards the whole no capes, no flags as capes? I mean, no capes at all.
That's what they said is their biggest issue.
Right.
Well, is that considered apparel if the students are using them as a cape?
Yeah, we said carry items of apparel, it would be, but you're saying be more explicit.
I think if we don't put it down,
Mm-hmm.
then
But you could just say capes are not allowed.
Yeah.
And people are gonna think you're crazy, but it's an issue.
okay, we said it. Capes are not allowed.
Yeah, there you go.
You can be Batman, you can be Spider-Man, you can be Superman, but you can't wear a cape.
Right, you can do it during,
Oh man, but what about for Halloween?
Stop it.
Okay, are we feeling good about this?
No, I don't like the cape thing. Because I am a big cape poncho kind of person.
Poncho is not a cape.
Yeah, well, I have worn capes though. I think you're meaning this kind of cape.
Yep.
Which a flag being worn as a cape is already illegal again, according to the federal.
Do we just put that flags being worn as
Flag,
capes is not
whatever you
allowed?
call it. Yeah, my brain just went completely blank. But then that would particularly pertain to American flags. Flag code, U.S. flag code prohibits a flag being worn as apparel. Period.
Oh, that's a good one.
U.S. flag.
Right, but
Which doesn't.
It covers all flags.
I should have probably saved.
I'm done talking now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Keep talking. I'll be right back.
This is actually a big issue throughout the United States right now,
Mhm.
and Utah had dealt quite extensively with it, but I did not save those.
Should we just put something in here specific to flags or political apparel being used as a cape? Can we use that language so it's not just capes in general, it's
So how did they?
But then you're getting into First Amendment issues.
Well, the thing, right, but the thing is that we do have is, they've become distracting to the educational process, which we
Right.
do have control over, so.
yeah, that's a tinker.
Right, yeah,
Isn't it Tinker versus Des Moines?
yeah, I don't remember, yeah,
I
one
think
of
it's
those.
Tinker versus Des Moines.
Let's see.
Specific to First Amendment, that's where that's kind of the qualifier.
Mm.
There were some kids that wanted to wear armbands, and the school district tried to say that they couldn't, and then it came down to the level of disruption.
Right. Yeah, anything that materially or substantially disrupts the educational process. So in this instance, when that was the problem with things that weren't made to be worn as a cape being worn as a cape.
Because then they're doing this with it.
Right,
and
right.
they're, you know. But where it gets subjective is I wanna wear a t-shirt that has a flag on it. That in and of itself is fine, but then now I start doing this kind of stuff with it and look at my t-shirt and I'm trying to get attention and so then it's not really the shirt itself, it's the behavior attached to the shirt that's causing the disruption.
Right.
So,
Okay, so are we removing the capes not allowed?
Well, I think we need to be explicit that flags, period, that was what the feedback we got, that flags shall not be worn as capes. Flags of any sort.
Okay. Flags shall not be worn as capes.
Yep, cause that's what they said, and that was the issue, and like I was just telling Lynn, that's the issue all over the country right now, is all of these kids are showing up with everything you can think of as like a flag, but they're wearing it as a cape, or some flags there are whatever being bought and worn as a cape.
and not just country flags, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Well, I mean, you see the people on the side of the road with all their
Yeah,
flags, which is fine. I mean,
yeah.
entrepreneurs, but yeah. So yeah, I will cringe when we have to define flags by dimensions and sizes.
So we feel like we can put this one to rest?
I would please say yes.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Yep, we'll
Is
go
that-
back and see what they say.
Okay, so we'll take this one to the board and we'll do, Rosanna, I'll link this one into our bottom, so it'll be this draft work in progress. There isn't any that we can jump to that are gonna be fast, I don't think, so do we wanna table this, or it's 12? Or do you guys wanna keep going?
This was the old one.
What's on your schedule?
I
Yeah,
have an
just-
interview at 1.
Oh,
Okay.
You probably need to eat and change brains and probably get.
I'm, whatever you guys wanna do, I just have a person coming in at 1.
The student discipline,
Yeah, why did we bring that back? Was that something fairly simple?
no.
Oh,
Because,
Never.
there's federal language
right?
that I believe the concern was,
Oh yeah, was it the weapon thing or?
let's read this real quick.
I just emailed you guys, an article from the Boston College of Law Review on, school dress code policies and stuff.
Okay. Was there something in particular? Can you
Oh,
turn
it's
this,
like 35 pages.
Oh,
It's got a lot of good information.
For some reason, and I can't. I feel like it had something to do with the page 6 about the deadly or dangerous weapon firearm, that's what they
Yeah.
questioned.
Yeah,
But I can't remember what they questioned.
does anybody know how to make this,
I think so, yes, let's see here. What do you need, Ramon?
it's getting warm.
Too warm, so you want it cooler?
Yeah. Oh, that one, okay.
And then get it done, and then.
Wasn't it that paragraph? I feel like they felt like it was a conflict when it said deadly or dangerous weapon firearm and it was in conflict with the gun-free schools. I just can't remember that conversation.
Now, we did cover the length of the blade. And I do remember, I don't remember if there was a conflict, but I do remember, the dangerous or deadly weapon thing.
But why did the board want us
The
to bring
board
this back?
asked the clerk to remind them to change the language to state may be a misdemeanor instead of shall be a misdemeanor.
Oh,
but that wouldn't come back to the committee.
And then, Ms. Arnold gave background history on the reentry contract process. In the past, there were a number of students that had to go in front of the board. If they brought a weapon, things have changed to allow building administrators to determine if the students are a danger. After further discussion, the decision to table policy 3330 was made.
I feel like Lisa said something about the gun free and then it said shall, and it was an expulsion, and then we said, well, we need to come back and visit that in light of new information.
Yeah, it was aligned with statutory language, including harassment, bullying, cyberbullying, allowing teachers to maintain power in the classroom, gun-free school zones, and identified suspension as temporary.
yeah, and it could be maybe something about the shall, because Idaho statute doesn't use that
Right.
word, and that's what I'm trying to remember.
But the gun free federal statute does.
Well, it does with exception,
Oh, right, you're right.
and that's the thing. So, let's look at 18.3.30.02 maybe? 33.02, let's see.
So it's 3302D.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's USC, possession of firearm weapons in federal facilities.
Right, which
Got
has,
free requirements.
yeah, which has many
Right.
deviations.
Each state receiving federal funds under any subchapter of this chapter shall have in effect a state law requiring local educational agencies to expel from school for a period of not less than 1 year a student who is determined to have brought a firearm to a school or to have possessed a firearm at a school under the jurisdiction of local educational agencies, and that except that such state law shall allow the chief administering officer of a local agency to modify such expulsion.
Right, so even though it says you have to do it for a year,
Yeah.
it says if your state law says something else, which basically Idaho state law says it's up to the board.
Right.
Yeah, and our actual code says persons who are found guilty of violating the provisions of this section. I'm on 33, 1612, or 30, wait, I'm on,
1833.02.
nope, I'm on 33, or yeah, 1833.02D.
Yeah.
It says, any persons who are found guilty of violating the provisions of this section may be sentenced to a jail term, of not more than a year, or fined in amount not to exceed $1,000 or both. If a violator is a student and under the age of 18 years, the court may place the violator on probation and suspend. So, I mean, there is no guarantee of what's going to happen. So I think,
Well, so is there something that we have to change on here?
I don't know.
And there is more,
Sugar snap, please. Ramon, if you're still hungry.
okay, thank you.
Thinking about her scenario of I get to eat candy and now I have to eat broccoli.
Did you find the,
I know that needed to be taken out.
I just feel like it's a missing state statute reference that's more explicit about, the gun-free,
Gun-free act.
yeah.
Part of it had to do, I mean, some of it's coming back to me.
Okay.
Part of it had to do with revising some of the language so that we weren't doing or explaining law enforcement's job in this process.
Right.
But the other thing was, after the investigative, on page 6, the investigative process with regard to the reentry contract. And you may have already said all this, but my brain's like finally connecting. Lisa discussed how everything used to be prior to Becky coming into the district. And that Lisa thought we were trying to go back to that, because I believe she was gonna weigh in on this with how things used to play out prior to, and if we were maybe going back to a little bit more reasonableness within that format. Because the confusion, I think, kind of peaked with the concept of the reentry contract. Don't like the word contract anyway.
Right.
But
That whole process.
She talked about the show cause. So
Right.
in years past, what used to happen was prior to Becky, and so my first year as a principal, if we had a situation, we had a building level show cause, which meant that I, the principal, had a situation, I would call, Lisa was my person that I called, I'd call Lisa, run her through it, and she would help me determine, is this a building level or does it need to come to the district level? And district level was more repetitive type things, and or like if it was like all knives would go to a show cause at the district level, like if it was a weapon of some kind, if there was some intent. So a building level could be you know, just a little knife that it was an accident, whatever. Then it could go to, if we've had like same thing for attendance issues, it would go to kind of a show cause, so they'd have to come to the district and have an attendance meeting with Lisa, that kind of a thing. So we would do that, and it wasn't necessarily a suspension, it was just we're gonna have a formalized meeting with the parents. Sometimes suspensions were attached to that, sometimes they weren't. I understood, now that you're saying this, I remember Lisa talking about, okay, so we could have that building level show cause. We used to not ever call it a reentry contract, it was a show cause, and there was kind of a contract, but it was not really about signatures. It was more about just people talking. I think when it got to the district level, when Lisa was involved, she would have parents sign it, just so, and basically you're signing that we went over it with you and you were in attendance type thing. And then, I thought in her mind she was saying if it's a weapon, then now we're doing a board. It goes to a board meeting so that we have kind of 3 levels.
Right. Well, and it does state in here, you know, but there is no clarification, and maybe that's where maybe it's too much into the weeds within the policy. But it says, you know, building administrators will will proceed with its investigative processes and notify district administration of the event or occurrence. Parents shall be notified, and then it says informed, before any investigative processes begin. So that's, I think part of the concern is, well, what are the investigative processes? What are, I mean, whether we go back to a show cause hearing or not, show cause is very legal, which I don't know if we want to go there.
Yeah, we could call it something else.
Right, but I get what the concept is. The thought is, at the building level, does the principal feel this merits anything farther than a call to the mom and dad and, hey, don't let little Johnny bring this to school anymore? At the high school level, you know, I think at the high school level, there's probably more occurrences that remain at the building level. They come on up to the district level because
these are greater understanding of cause and effect.
Correct.
Right.
These are older children.
Right.
And so maybe the policy does need to have some guidelines as far as at the elementary level, you know, this and this and this happens. At the middle school level, this and this and this happens.
Right.
At the high school, this, because I think parents need to also understand, you know, when, you know, little Johnny's not in 5th grade and little Johnny's a junior at the high school, they're not going to be treated the same.
Right.
Because the expectation of understanding is greater.
Right.
So there isn't as much grace when they make really dumb choices.
Right.
So,
so next steps, what if we do this, have Lisa look at this policy on Wednesday and just really talk about, can we do kind of we're talking about really kind of a varying degree of criteria, because I was just thinking about this in the feedback from the admin team when we talked about our threat assessment protocol. And I get that's, you know, not necessarily weapon, but a lot of the school discipline is around a threat. And I can't tell you how many 5, 6, 7, and 8-year-olds, instead of saying I hate you or I'm mad at you, will say I want to kill you because they played video games, that's what it says.
Right.
And so then when you ask them, they're like, well, I'm mad, and it is super innocent. And so even the elementary team has asked, like, can we have some clarity around, do we go through this full-blown threat assessment when we know it's not, or we assume it's not?
Well, and I think with Lisa's historical perspective,
right,
she, as the superintendent, needs to lay out the ground rules of how we want to enforce and follow, you know, within the boundaries of the law.
And the admin team is asking for more clarification on that too. So
first order of business for the superintendent will be, please review this policy. And give
so I'll ask her on Wednesday if she can kind of look at it, looking at that historical perspective, and then wanting to know, and so then we can bring it next Friday, because we still have time at that point.
Right.
And so if, you know, and maybe if she drafts some, because it's just that one little section. So if she, it
is, but I do also want to make sure that she makes sure the flow of this meets her expectations for the districts and the district and the standards that she wants to support.
Well, what I was thinking is I'll have her read the whole thing, but if there's some changes to that one little paragraph, maybe sending them out when I say here's when I send out the board consideration doc, so that you can preview that language beforehand.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, because I really, I get the concept behind a quote unquote re-entry contract.
Right.
But we're required by law to let these people into school.
Right.
So
Well, and we talked about this, being super cognizant of how much time are they missing.
Right.
So, I mean, again, if we're spending 2 hours to investigate and they're sitting in the hallway for 2 hours, not in class.
Right.
If it's, this is a little guy that brought a knife with grandpa.
Yeah.
Why is it not more than just 5 minutes or less
Right.
than 5 minutes? And so being mindful of that, okay?
Right.
Yeah, so we did start this with Chrissy, it looks like.
Yes.
Because now that I'm seeing the changes, like, oh yeah, I do remember putting the exceptions to gun-free schools in there, which, did not make it to this one.
What?
Yeah, I'm not seeing the exceptions to, one being a firearm that's lawfully stored inside a locked vehicle on school property.
Where is that?
It's in, so we had started working on the ISBA model, it looks like,
Okay.
when we had started this, it looks like September was the last time it was touched.
You just started putting
Oh,
stuff.
you're right.
Yeah. Because I remember, going through and reading that statute very thoroughly.
Is it not labeled a draft policy? It just says ISBA?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's the Chrissy Williams one.
So
Oh,
I went
yeah.
off of the newest ISBA.
That's okay.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
that's
because there's a
fine.
lot in there that it's, when you have Chrissy and then it rolled to Janelle and then, or no, it went Chrissy, Chelsea, Janelle, and everyone's trying to figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
You're the first person that brought some sequence and order to it.
Yeah.
So,
But
it's a good thing. I mean, but yeah, that's, cause yeah, we
we need
added,
to add that language in.
yeah,
Yeah, and there was some update, yeah, so do we have that on this one too, that, says a section of the policy does not apply to,
yeah, I see that.
and I don't see
No, we don't
that
have
here
that on
either.
here. Oh, yeah, it
there
does.
it is, yep, yep, 6.
So is the only thing that we don't have on ours where it is just the exceptions to gun-free schools?
No, we've got a 4 and
Oh, and
Actually, it's just 4.
4,
Yeah,
yeah.
4 was inserted.
I can merge those
And
two.
4 became 5.
Essentially, it's the red and purple language,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm. Yep, that's all I see.
Okay.
Well, you have it, it's just the verbiage is different.
Okay.
It,
Right, that one, yeah.
Yeah, cause
Yeah.
then it does talk about in the vehicle here,
Oh, so it is there.
no.
private
No.
vehicle. It's just different verbiage.
Yeah, it's
but
not labeled as an exception, so it looks like we actually drew it out. See, it says,
It doesn't apply to.
Possession of a weapon on school property misdemeanor. It's under that paragraph, which in our policy, we do have this section of this
Right.
policy shall not apply to, which is,
hey,
wait
go
a
ahead
minute.
and go back down where you were, Rosanna,
Mhm.
down there where that
Yeah.
language was.
It was right here.
Right there.
Okay.
So if you continue reading it talks about.
Oh, not enrolled in a public or private elementary school is all folks in. Yeah, well, that's not what the law says. It's nice they made up their own language, but that's not what the law says.
And then you have this part, which
Mhm.
was specific about the car.
right, but what's,
And then if you go back to here, it actually states the statutes. And I don't know which language is closer to the statute or
That
not,
one.
but this one.
Yeah. Because, where was the hunting?
Hunting?
Yeah, let me see, did I put it in? Yeah, this is it, okay. Because the other part, outside of antique firearms and all these exceptions to what an actual firearm is, one of them explicitly say if somebody has a firearm and they have to the school property is in the way of getting to the hunting property, it's not
Right.
illegal for them to
Right.
come across the school property with a loaded firearm to get to where the hunting is allowed.
Well, and wasn't there a situation up at Spirit Lake with that public access road that somebody did that and like law enforcement was like, well, it's a public.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter that it's during school. I mean, we try not to, but technically,
Yeah.
so they were
Right.
like, please leave. But
Well, and yeah, I mean, I think we're so narrowly focused that, you know, if someone's just trying to go hunting, they're not doing anything wrong. They're not disrupting
Right.
anything. You're disrupting it by calling it out
Because
and
you're
making it an
fearful.
issue.
Right.
Yeah.
so am I adding the red and purple language to our other doc, and then we'll just look at it, and if we feel like it's redundant or okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so. I
please
think
add
it
it.
is, yeah.
Because then we'll just, and if we want to, we can, I'm willing to do it. Create another working, so that we take this one, we take out all the thingies. And then we can add the new
Okay.
language, so we kind of have a cleaner version of,
And then I'll have Lisa look at it and kind of finalize it
yeah.
and then be
So
okay
we'll
with
do
it,
that
and
right
then
now.
we'll bring that draft together.
Student dress product, work in progress.
I was laughing because they're super great and super responsive, so they reached out to me and just said, how's it going with reading, where are you at? So I was kind of telling them, and they're like, oh, this is literally what she wrote. So I've given them tons of feedback, and so has everyone else in Idaho, just because. And so they said, in a nutshell, we've taken out wordings or images referring to same-sex parents and rephrased items referencing culture-biased, racism communities. This was in response to the feedback from our customers, and we changed the student books and the teachers' editions. I've linked in the newest versions for you.
Oh, yay.
So we've done all that, and now they have new versions.
Well, that's good though, so now we just have to see if
Yeah, I'm gonna look
Yeah.
line by line, but that also means, because we weren't going to buy teachers' editions,
Yes.
but we will have to if they change them. Maybe, I don't know.
3360.
Yeah,
We'll see how, like, if
Yeah.
they took out maybe
Well, it
we
might
have the
already-
same
it might
teachers'
still be up
editions
there.
and it's the student workbooks if,
Well, it's good that they're receptive to that.
yeah.
That's great. That they're willing to do that.
Oh,
She
that's
said
student
to me-
discipline, no, 33,
Said,
oh wait,
30.
3260.
she said we work really hard to
Um,
listen to our customers while also providing engagement for students, so, I mean,
Yeah, 3260 is the old dress policy. Are you looking
Mhm.
for the discipline? It's the 3330.
No, I'm
Oh.
I'm looking for the words on the document that I just drafted that should be in there. Is it not in there?
it might have not,
Which one? 3255.
no, the one that she just was working on that you
Oh,
pulled up,
So it is 3255
yeah.
for new dress,
Mhm.
okay. So if you can go into 3255, it should, I wanna make sure it's there.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yep.
Work in progress one, right?
Yes,
Alright.
no crossouts, is that what I said?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
But that one will have crossouts because it's our newest
Correct.
version, so this will be our draft version now.
No, I'm doing the same thing on
Oh,
this.
so you have consistent
yeah.
language, yeah.
Yeah, so, the draft, there we are. Okay, make a copy.
So before we have that iReady meeting, I'll go through, cause it's the 3rd and the 5th grade books, and I'll go through and see, cause I can actually see the book, she gave me the digital workbooks, and
Oh,
so
good.
I'll go through and look at those specific stories and see
Oh,
if they
good.
changed them.
Good.
Cause then we don't even have to worry about taking them out, it'll be a non-issue.
Right, and you can get back to the parents and let them know that.
Yeah.
I think that says a lot for them too, the publisher,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
But they've been great to work with. Everything I've told them, they've tried to help me with. You know, and again, it's not unique to us, it's
Right.
Idaho, so
Right.
if you wanna sell your curriculum in Idaho, then,
Right.
and there's other states too,
Sure.
but, you know,
Yeah.
they've gotta figure that out. And we can keep these are here, our working drafts for the
Yep.
next time.
Yes.
Actually, I'll probably do this, I can get, maybe I'll leave those together, oh, I better leave them together, I don't put them in the book that way, and then I'll just put them back.
I emailed Dane to get the accountability report taken off.
Yeah.
He was the one that put it up, so,
Okay.
Is your interview in here, Lynn?
no, I was just gonna take her into my office.
Okay.
I'm so excited we're gonna have another,
Conference area.
room, yeah.
Just feel good not to have everyone stepping over each other's toes constantly, you know, or feeling like they have to be rushed out.
It's amazing how much we're actually getting rid of here.
On student discipline,
Yeah.
You can probably go, Lynn, if you need to go get ready for your interview
Sure.
or what have you.
Yeah.
We'll just finish this and then Rosanna will know what we finished and then that way you have
Yeah.
3 minutes to
So-
clear your brain. Thank you for everything.
Yes,
you.
thank
Enjoy
you.
your Independence Day.
it's gonna be good.
Yep.
I wish my kid was gonna get to come home, but he's in Colorado fighting fires, so.
Oh,
Well, not really fighting, he's digging ditches, but, you know.
part of the job.
Yep.
Yep.
And I'm actually okay. He's safer that way right
Yeah.
now. Well, happy 4th, you guys.
Yep,
And I
you
will
Yes,
too.
see
happy
you.
4th.
I think I see you Thursday, and then I'll see you guys on Friday.
Alrighty.
Roseanne, I'll come back, take care
Okay.
of all that stuff. Alright, you said it's messed with it.
I don't think the air conditioner went down or whatever. I'm hot.
I know, it feels warm.
Yeah, I know there's some kind of trick to it or something, 'cause I remember trying to get it to work before, and actually Dr. Meyer walked over and had to.
Yeah, it was on heat,
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
so let's see if it comes on.
Oops.
There's so much on here, that's so funny.
On the discipline.
Yeah, on the references.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I did note a few things on here that I was like, oh. I'm gonna highlight just so that, under temporary suspicions, temporary suspicions, temporary suspensions. Prior, there we go, informal hearing. Make that yellow.
I just want you to highlight it. I don't want you to.
so that Lynn doesn't go through here and go, oh, she forgot to take this out. Okay. Reminder of why. I think that was it. So, okay, so, all right. All right. So at least we went from 8, well, we didn't go from 8 pages. I don't know what we were originally. But,
Yeah, I think you're right, it was 8 pages.
oh, I could add the language.
Yes, we had 8 full pages.
Did we?
Yeah, well, the very last page was, you know, half, 3/4 taken up by all legal references. And
Right, right. Okay,
But
so,
yeah.
I'm gonna take this. Control-C.
I wonder how this would stand up in the Supreme Court or the law of the land nowadays. Some of this, the document that Rosanna shared us is interesting.
Okay, did give me a comment. Oh. And I think I'll put a comment on here to let her know that I already added or merged or whatever. So the other was here. Okay. So yeah, I added the exceptions. Oh, and then I'm wondering. Did we, looked at the crossouts that we made.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we did a, yeah, okay. I think there's nothing on here that, I think ours are much better now
Okay.
than what was on the other
Okay.
thing with Chrissy.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, the references definitely grew. That's funny. Okay, so yeah, I wanna make that go away. I wanna make sure this is, or it should be, oh, it is, because you're on it, yay. Alright. What does it mean, like, if I go to X, if I go to leave it,
Mm-hmm.
it says changes you made may not be saved.
Because it was offline. Somehow it lost the connection, so,
Okay.
go up to your file and see if it'll allow you to save it.
Let's save as Google Docs.
Yeah, or just save, or yeah, something, because it sounds like it, I keep losing connection too, so it sounds like at some point it lost connection and then,
Okay.
Yeah, this one says last edit was 3 minutes ago.
Oh,
Let me refresh.
that's so bizarre.
Yeah. So I don't think whatever you typed last is saved, maybe.
No, it's all there.
it's there, okay. Yep, so at some point it just lost its connection and then reconnected and,
Okay, so now there's 2 work in progress. So oh, but that's interesting.
because what you saved is
One has a
Google Doc.
W, one has a thing.
Right, because, the one you just saved, this is the Word doc we started with, and then when you saved it, you said save it as a Google Doc.
Okay.
So we were editing that one, right?
Actually,
Yeah, that's,
I was,
this
okay.
is the Google Doc,
Okay.
this is just
Well, cause I
regular-
opened this one,
Mhm,
which was Chrissy's,
mhm.
which was the one with the colors on it.
Yeah, well,
That's
somehow
so
it was,
weird.
whether it recognized it or not, it was a Google Doc.
Okay.
So you can just delete one or move one. If you're confident they're both correct, you just get rid of one.
So that one. Doc, okay, Doc X. And then this is,
The Google Doc.
okay, it doesn't give me the Doc X. Okay.
Because the Doc X is the Word doc.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and remove the Word doc because they have the same. Poopy. Stop. So is there a way to remove it?
Does it matter if the file sizes are different?
Well, that's what I thought was interesting.
They're gonna be different because they're different file type.
Oh.
So it's not necessarily apples to apples. I mean, one might have something a little bit, but you're talking,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Let's pull this popsicle stand. Oh, we're still recording.
Yes.
Alrighty, we can go ahead and stop recording.
Oh.